Stan, you were saying earlier on that you think the Swiss play 3-4-3 as well as anybody at the tournament at the moment. And I see on social media, you've picked your team to match up with them. It seemed very unlikely that we would play this system, or indeed some of the players you've chosen. But tell us, if you were in Gareth's shoes, what you'd do.
Yeah, and again, this is something repeated on the 2 or 3 times after games in the debrief, is that 3-4-3 is something that Gareth knows and plays. Now, we've of course said there's a very slow evolution. We've seen Conor Gallagher come in, we've seen Trent start the tournament, we've seen Kobbie Mainoo come in. We haven't seen wholesale changes, and of course we haven't seen wholesale system changes. But we're now taking a step up in terms of opponent. So if you're the technical staff, you would say, well, how can we get the better of a team that were exceptional against Italy, a poor Italy team, but we're, not a million miles away from the Italy team that we lost to in a final ourselves, playing 3-4-3, is that it would be Pickford as the goalkeeper, Walker, Stones, Konza, because obviously Gue's not going to make it. That gives you pace, it gives you central defensive stability. Bukayo Saka, I don't mind down that left-hand side. I know it's not ideal for him in the sort of left midfield role, but I don't think it's worked for him down the right. I think that everybody has acknowledged when you come in from the right-hand side, you've got to play off your striker and shoot. He hasn't done that, and he hasn't gone down the outside enough. So try him down the left-hand side, particularly if Luke Shaw, for example, isn't going to make it. Rice and Bellingham just head-to-head against Freuler and Xhaka. That'd be a battle royal in central midfield. Both Rice and Bellingham can play orthodox central midfield roles. Trent Alexander-Arnold may well down that right-hand side. If you're thinking that, you got Carl Walker as was one of the central defenders, Trent, arguably his best performances in an England shirt have been down the right-hand side, creative, and of course scoring a goal before we left for the tournament. And then a front three, Harry Kane is not going to drop under any circumstances unless he's injured, with Anthony Gordon down the left-hand side and Cole Palmer down the right. And I think that what you've got then is round pegs in round holes. Trent's happy going down the right and overlapping Palmer. Palmer's happy coming in and playing off a Kane and getting shots on target. Gordon's happy going down and past a full-back or a wide of a three and putting crosses in the box. And I think that it adds a lot more balance, shape, and crucially forward intent. My worry is, and again, if everybody closes their eyes and thinks of an England snapshot of a passage of play, it rolls out from the goalkeeper to John Stones. It then goes round a curve in the back. It goes into Declan Rice, and we've massively overloaded in giving the ball to defensive-minded players. How about we shift the emphasis a little bit? And by doing that, particularly with the likes of Palmer and Gordon that will demand the ball, it just shifts us 15, 20, 25 yards further up the pitch to hopefully go and do some damage. I worry that Gareth's going to stay as it is in this bubble, and I worry that we're going to limp out the tournament 2-0, 2-1, and all of the really good work that he's done over 8 years, which is changing a culture, and he really has. Anybody that's worked in the media that will tell you that working with England is a much better environment, that the players enjoy joining up more, the performances have been better overall. We've qualified relatively easily for tournaments and we've got to the latter stages. It would be a massive shame if the fifth game, a quarter-final of a UEFA Euros, that we played in the same way that we did in the previous four. You can change even at this late in the day. You don't have to go gung-ho and play 5 attacking players, but I do think a modest change of shape, and we could take the Swiss on head-to-head with a very similar system, a system that we know, and some round pegs and some round holes.
Yeah, it's a good point, but given that Gareth's not going to do that, because he isn't, what do we do about the thing where he says, 4 games running now, Stan, he said, we moved the ball too slowly. You think, all right, there's no point to say, what can you do to make them move it quicker? What can he do?
If you're saying the same thing after every game, and that lack of bravery, Stan, we said all these players, we see them week after week, bold and brave on the ball.
Very, very often I will tweet and I will say before England tournaments, every England tournament, the last 15, 20, 25 years, but particularly in the Twitter era of the last 15 years, is that from the centre spot to the penalty spot of the opponent, we are one of the world's worst at a player going past 2 or 3 players and committing the opponent, having them running back towards their own goal. the irony of that, when Declan Rice can do it, and of course there was more urgency in his game in the last 15 minutes of the game. Yes, he tried to do it more. Jude Bellingham could do it. He's not a great dribbler, but he can do it. Phil Foden, that certainly can dribble past people. That's why people still go to England tournaments and wear Gascoigne on the back of their shirt, because that's what he did. He would take the ball in a straight line from the centre spot to the opponent's penalty spot, and that turns defenders and it puts you on the front foot. And until we find the solution to that, and the solution to that, it may well happen upon, it might be Kobbie Mainoo. Again, he's not a dribbler. More likely to be Phil Foden. But while the spectre of Jude Bellingham is doing well at Real Madrid, Jude Bellingham will be the number 10, is that somebody has to grasp the nettle, take the ball and carry it. Look at Georgia's players in this tournament.
Yeah.
We've watched them and we've gone, my goodness, they pick the ball up and they trundle past 3 or 4 players. How many England players have done that once? Never mind 15 or 20 times a game. So it's there, Paul and Andy. I don't think it's going to happen in this tournament. We've got a whole Nations League with the Irish to face, the Finns to face, and I think Greece, where a new coach may well come in and say, I'm going to now prioritise that player. The players are there, but I think for as long as we play this system which prioritises more of the defensive unit having possession of the ball, it really doesn't matter, because we're not getting enough ball to players midway through the opponent's half to be able to do that damage. And that worries me greatly when it comes to facing the Swiss.
Even as a Stan, you look at him, he's got such swagger. You know, I look at him play for England. There was little moments, but that swagger's not
At least
there.
he took that shot, which led to the goal.
Surely you're sending him out and saying, just go out and be Eberechi. That's what you do. You know, that's what we want you here for. That's what you bring to the team.
I think that the two that have most closely replicated that, and the two that could be most disappointed to not get more time, is Anthony Gordon and Palmer, because they've both feigned to run away from the play, then gone to get the ball, and there just hasn't been enough time that they've been on the pitch to be able to really bed in and settle. Anthony Gordon did it immediately. He ran away, came to the ball, and he got the ball, and he went down the outside of the fullback, and it went out to play, but the intent was there. And they're 2 young guys that haven't been weathered by 10 years of tournament football in the way that, you know, the Harry Kanes have, for example. So they're going to be mentally fresh as well as physically fresh. They will have a part to play. I just hope it's not too late in the game and we're having a conversation on, you know, Monday next, and England are out of the tournament and everybody's had their say about them, and we haven't laid a glove on the Swiss, because the Swiss are a team, you know, think of any club team that you support, whether it be the FA Cup, whether it be the League Cup, there are teams that you have to face that you go, these are quite good, but they're not going to go on and win the tournament. The Swiss are not going to go on and win this tournament. So if we have any pretensions of that, at some point, we have to be bold, we have to be brave, we have to take risk, and we have to have players that are willing to take players on to get on the ball. And that would be Gordon, it would be Palmer, possibly Watkins, possibly Tony. So we need to get them on the pitch as early as we can. If the other guys are going to go on and play 70, 75, 80 minutes to grind the Swiss down.
Paul Hawksby and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons, 1 till 4. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.